There are not many games I'd consider masterpieces, but Ghost of Tsushima is near flawless, a game I had been waiting quite some time for to come to PC. When it finally did, I took the dive. I enjoyed it so much and was so invested, it was as if time seemed to stand still. Not many games have had that effect on me over the years. Let us take an adventure back to 1274 to the island of Tsushima. And of course, no major story spoilers will be shown.
The Mongol Empire is invading our home. They are brutal, relentless, unstoppable. We are 80 samurai against an army.
The story puts you in the shoes of Jin Sakai, a samurai who sets out to protect Tsushima Island from a Mongol invasion. He'll have the hard choice of following the warrior code of the samurai, or relying on other tactics to repel the enemy in hope of saving the island. This story is beautifully and intricately crafted. For my film buffs out there, it gives heavy Kurosawa vibes. Sucker Punch even gives you the option of playing it in a Kurosawa mode. I love that. It's formatted in a 3-act structure and even breaks up the acts into 3 sections of the island, which I liked. It is an open world game, but I'll elaborate on that here shortly. I have got to applaud the 4 writers of Ghost of Tsushima, as it's one of only a few games that doesn't offer choices matter consequences with different endings on multiple playthroughs, but a game I'd play the story again in the future. It offers excellent short stories aside to the main quest, where in the beginning you will need help taking on the Mongol invaders, so you must gain allies. These allies have side stories you must start, but don't necessarily have to finish for you to proceed with the main journey. I like how it shows how many missions there are in their side tales for those main supporting characters, where it shows how deep their quest lines go. But I found myself getting invested in their character developments too, where I ended up setting out beating all of the quest lines for my allies. It's not very often when the side characters have such great stories to the extent I'll stick with them all the way through, if it's an option, because in most games, they tend to fall off at some point. Surprisingly, I never had that feeling, which is an ultra rare experience for me nowadays. In addition, there are numerous stories you'll discover just from talking with villagers and traveling the world. Of course, like I said, no spoilers to worry about, but I'll leave you with this final note on Jin's story. It's one of the best I've experienced, not in just recent gaming history, but all of it. Ghost of Tsushima gives the player a world that is worth exploring everything. It's a very rich and gorgeous world, easy to get immersed in. The colors, the scenery, the small details you'll observe throughout visually and audibly. There's just a lot that goes into this game to make it enjoyable to explore. One thing I will mention that I haven't really seen in another game before is how well they utilize the navigational system without using a standard minimap. They use a wind system. Being someone who doesn't really play on a PlayStation controller, I brought it out for this one thanks to my brother having one on hand. The touchpad interactions they had with the game were very cool. One of the interactions they had with the touchpad was brushing it up in an upwards direction to get the wind to activate, which acted as your guide. It's creative and nicely done. Having the wind stir up the plains and leaves falling from the trees, the whistling of the breeze. After getting lost in this world for the past so many weeks, I can understand why this game won the Game Award for Best Art Direction in 2020. It does offer a fast travel system, but I didn't really utilize it when I didn't have to. As you get a horse, and I rode it everywhere I could. I will add as a minor complaint, kind of a bummer, that the horse couldn't swim in water. It could walk across when it was in a very shallow section, but that was the extent of it. Past that, it would stop and not budge on the shore when attempting to go in higher water levels. So I still have to give the best horse mechanics ever to Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I previously mentioned how the game is in a 3-act structure, where you gain access to other parts of the island once reaching that said act. This is true. You truly won't have a 100% free range until you reach the 3rd and final act to go throughout the whole island as you please. However, each part of the island is generously sized, offering a lot to do. From side quests, doing haikus, finding lighthouses, discovering shrines, thanks to What the Fox shows, and one of my favorites was taking down Mongol camps. I'm leaving off quite a bit from the things to do list for the sake of time in the video, though some of the fun is leaving surprises for you to discover on your own playthroughs as well. It is very easy to get off-road and lose focus from the main story. I think I managed to stay in the first section of the island before advancing into the second act for something like 25 to 30 hours into my playthrough. I will minorly touch on the DLC expansion consisting of Iki Island. The story is good, exploring the demons of Jin's past and learning more about his father, Lord Kasumasa Sakai. There are fun things to discover and do on the island. One of my favorites was the animal sanctuaries, as it's an interactive segment where you physically have to move the controller within the lines to play the song. I did not expect to find anything like that in this game, but I was pleasantly surprised by it and enjoyed it. Since there are heavy story elements throughout and it's not that big of an island to begin with, I'll leave the rest for your discovery.
Samurai.
Having a katana was given, you knew that, the ultimate tool for a samurai. Then as the story progresses, you learn more about other tactics and becoming stealthier. You will gain access to ghost weapons, where in time you'll have a nice variety of gadgets and weapons to aid you in combat. Getting a tanto, basically a dagger, a half bow for short range and being quick to fire, a longbow, you guessed it, for long range, and it will take a longer draw time. When using the bows, a slow motion factor does come to play to help with hitting some very nice shots. On top of that, you will slowly gain access to a bunch of ninja-like gear, various bombs, smoke, black powder, sticky, distraction tools, throwable wind chimes, and firecrackers. It's satisfying having all these options as you can be versatile on your attacks, depending on the situation, or simply on how you want to approach fights. Over time from playing the game, you will gain technique points to invest into different skill sections while increasing
Your legend.
They're broken up into 3 different tabs. Samurai, helping you with fighting, with deflection and evasion skills. There is an exploration area you can invest your points into on this section, but I wouldn't prioritize that out of the gates, as in time you will gain plenty of points to fill every slot of those points and skills if you want the truth. Mythic is listed here, but no need to invest points as you will earn these through taking on the mythic tales. Not going to lie, the abilities you get through those tales can be a little strong. Fascinating stories tied to them, however. Next is stances. In the game, there will be 4 fighting stances. Stone stance is best against swordsmen. Water stance helps break through shields. Wind stance helps against spearmen, and moon stance is most effective against brutes, the really big dudes. Each will have 4 tiers of upgrades helping you strengthen the stance and take out those enemies quicker and more efficiently. Once you get into the thick of things where you could be fighting multiple types of enemies simultaneously, Sucker Punch thankfully made it easy to switch between the stances very smoothly. Finally, Ghost. This is the area where you begin to unlock those ninja-like weapons we've covered. Then a little lower in the evolving tactics, you will need to unlock the first abilities in the row by playing and progressing through Jin's story. Once you do so, when you earn those technique points, you can invest them into the following tiers under that unlock perk. This area offers some great perks. Here in the stances is where I prioritize placing my points. As for the combat, it can be challenging, but not so difficult it feels like you're in a Souls-like game where it punishes you relentlessly for messing up. The best way to summarize it is, at first, it's gonna be a bit of a learning curve, as you gotta learn enemy attack cues, the button combos, and just get a feel for the game. Then slowly, they implement new techniques, like those stances and evolving tactics, and other things that will help you in fighting, adding more to your overall ability of what you can do in the game. With a little bit of time, it gets easier to comprehend and pick up on. Plus, for peace of mind, there are multiple options of difficulties to pick from. Here's a closer look at those. In my playthrough, I stuck with medium, then when taking on the New Game Plus, I decided to give hard a go. But as you can see, they have options for everyone, and you can toggle it in the menus whenever you see fit. Like you heard me say in the beginning, I don't hand out the title of masterpiece to very many games. Ghost of Tsushima was a delightful experience and even cracked my top 5 games of all time. I wasn't able to run this game on the highest settings. These are the recommendations Steam suggests. What you see footage-wise was mainly medium to low settings. So just imagine what a higher scale build PC could show you. Nonetheless, it is still impressive visually, I think. It did have a few things I wish could have been better, like the horse mechanics, and occasionally I did face some issues with the audio in cutscenes, where it would cut out, then come back. Thankfully, Sucker Punch has rolled out a few updates that have helped improve how frequently the cutouts happen, but they still would occur, just not as much. Past those minor complaints, I'm really looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima 2 to see where Jin's journey leads next, as reports are starting to surface more and more about it. Plus, since we are in a media wave of all these games being turned into movies or shows, there is even talks of Ghost of Tsushima following that wave. That actually may be a video game adaptation I may go see. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling for this video. Thank you for sticking it out with me. I greatly appreciate your time, so thank you. Please drop a like, share this with a friend, and let me hear from you. What do you think about Ghost of Tsushima? If you've played it before, how was your experience? But most importantly, remember to take care of yourself. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video.